New views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss it. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
The attachment theory argues that a strong emotional and physical bond to one primary caregiver in our first years of life is critical to our development. If our bonding is strong and we are securely attached, then we feel safe to explore the world. We know that there is always that safe base which we can return to any time. If our bond is weak, we feel insecurely attached. We are afraid to leave or explore a rather scary-looking world because we are not sure if we can return. People who are securely attached are said to have greater trust, can connect to others, and as a result are more successful in life. Insecurely attached people tend to mistrust others, lack social skills, and have problems forming relationships. There is one type of secure attachment, and there are three types of insecure attachments: anxious ambivalent, anxious avoidant, and anxious disorganized. In responses to distress, the first three react organized, while the last acts disorganized. To understand the theory better, let's look at Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who have 4 children: Luca, Anne, Joe, and Amy. The Smiths are lovely parents who cuddle, make frequent eye contact, speak warmly, and are always there for their kids. But one day, Mr. Smith falls very sick and dies. For Mrs. Smith, life now becomes very difficult. She spends all day working, while at the same time trying to care for her children. An impossible task.
Ladies and gentlemen, Voice of Reason, hour number 2, live from KBLA Talk 1580. My guest, you already know I had to bring the entire sun into the building. Dr. Sunshine, tell us a little bit about your show.
Well, I have this passion for healing people, and really trying so hard for people to live life as best as possible as their authentic selves. And sometimes mental health issues in the form of just life challenges, life struggles, may show up. So I like to break stereotypes about having mental health issues, and normalize them as life challenges, life struggles, as something that we all have. So on the show, I try to bring topics that speak to the masses in the form of a life struggle or challenge.
And that's a really interesting term to use, normalize.
Yeah.
Because really, most of our problems came from our normal.
Well, yeah, our normal it's a part of the pain, is part of the life experience.
How about it?
And what would life be without some stormy days?
How about that?
Some clouds, some pain. How would we appreciate the sunshine?
Here we go. 1-800-920-1580. I'm going to the phone lines. I want to know, what's your attachment style? I'm sitting here, of course, with Dr. Sunshine. She's going to help you discover it. Let's get Mimi on the line. Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, Zoe. Hey, Dr. Sunshine.
Hello, Mimi.
Hi.
say I loved
Lots of love.
seeing you on Instagram.
Mhm.
It was great.
Oh, that is way, way, way kind. That makes me smile. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have a question. I'm not sure if this is an attachment issue, but it may be. It probably is. But I would say I like to keep the peace in my relationships. So I'm a fixer. I like to communicate a lot. And no matter what's going on, I try to make it work, make it right. And what form of attachment issue is that called?
Sounds very, 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 very anxious.
Anxious, yeah.
It sounds hands down anxious.
In need of reassuring, right? They have
Yeah.
to reassure you sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very, very anxious. So let me ask you, do you find yourself in relationships with people who tend to be, I don't want to say dismissive, but kind of? People who kind of would rather be alone, don't want to really talk about it,
Oh my gosh.
run and retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Yes, they're drawn to me or I'm drawn to them. I
It's-
love to talk and communicate,
When you're
and they not so much.
that, so when Zoe was talking about mirroring earlier, when you think about a mirror, right? We look into a mirror and we don't see the reflection in the mirror is actually the opposite of what's
Boom.
happening in reality.
Boom.
So you are mirroring in your relationship. So you're attracting the opposite of what you are. So you're a big communicator and you probably find yourself attracted to people that really don't want to communicate too much. It's like, come on, you're doing too much.
Right.
Yeah, they just happen to be the sexier type. Okay, yeah.
But that's why it's so counterintuitive, but it doesn't make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world. You would probably be very turned off with someone just like you.
Yes.
It would just be too much. All that love bombing,
It would be too much.
it would just be too
So
much.
the love bomber tends to attract the breadcrumber.
Go and figure. But that
Yes.
makes total sense. And the breadcrumber tends to be attracted to the love bomber until they get bombed.
Then they don't want to.
Then they're like, it's too much. So now I gotta put that wall up and go into. And then for the anxious person, it's like, wait a minute, did I do something wrong? Because remember,
I just loved her.
I'm not okay, but you're okay.
Ooh.
So I'm projecting that not okay into the avoidant person,
Right.
and that's what's being reflected back to me. It's almost like it's almost, I don't know, paradoxical.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
very, very paradoxical.
I have a question. Since it's about mirrors, what do I do to not attract, non-communicative men?
So it starts. So first off, it's not them.
Right.
It's not them that is the issue. It's what you internally are attracted to. So the only way to really address that is to address what's going on for you, inside of you. And for me, knowing is half the battle.
Soon as you recognize this goes back
When
to
you
the
know
point,
different, you have to do different.
right? This
Yeah.
goes back to the point about looking for yourself in the interaction. How am I going to show up? See, most people's attention is not focused on how will I show up in this new or pre-existing connection. Most people are looking for their partner to do, say, and behave a certain way to assuage these fears, to assuage our concerns. But if you're looking for how you show up, this goes back to what Dr. Shalonda is talking about, self-awareness.
Self-awareness. The moment you know different, you automatically have to do different. You have to do something different. And a lot of times what we do is willful ignoring. Now that we know, we just willfully ignore it. We find ways to distract ourselves from it. Let me ask you this question. Do you seem to find yourself attracted to people who on the outside have it all together?
Yes and no.
Okay. I get yes. What's the no part?
I'm kind of a visual person, and sometimes I overlook things if the package is pretty. And I know that's an issue. I know that.
You know what? but I could actually, if I'm gonna be transparent, I actually get that. I get it.
Right.
What is that? What is going on with me that I get it? If it's too pretty, I'm like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
This coming with something else. You know what's
Right.
going on? Doesn't feel authentic.
Right.
But yeah, to answer your question, I think the work that you have to do is, realizing which parts of this attachment style you picked up, and then with self-awareness, you know what you're looking for, you know what you have to work on. You probably have to do some unpacking of your backpack. I call life the backpack.
Right.
And then we put bricks in the backpack.
Right.
So yeah, I think when it comes to the anxious style, there's all kinds of reasons and characteristics. I think you have to find out which bricks belong to you.
And here's just a basic coloring book concept, right? This is oversimplification at its best. The DA, dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant, they tend to pull back. They have to learn how to lean in if they want to rewrite their attachment style. They have to learn that me self-soothing, me ghosting, me escaping, me not wanting to have difficult conversations are counterproductive for any relationship I want to survive, that I want to be happy in. So those type of people have to see themselves and say, oh, this is how I sabotage.
So what is it for an anxious person like
they have
me?
to learn how to lean back.
And be secure.
And be secure
in who
and knowing
they authentically are.
Yes, and knowing it's going to be okay. You leaning in a moment where you need to lean back is actually serving as thrust. It's pushing them away.
So I think when you feel that within yourself, and it does take self-awareness. So when you feel yourself leaning in, you have to reassure yourself that
it's okay.
Yeah, and it's not a flaw inside of you.
No.
Okay.
But sometimes we see ourselves that way when we feel anxious.
Just look at it as an outdated program on a brand new computer. Like it's not compatible. You're gonna have to take that off if you want to have healthy relationships. You got to delete it.
Okay. All
right.
I'm gonna do my work.
Mimi, we love you. Jacksonville, Florida in the building. When we come forward, we staying in the South. We going to Atlanta, Georgia. I want to know your attachment style. You gonna tell us, right?
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
I'm James Alexander, a proud member of AARP. 1967, I was 17. That spring, my friends, the Barcades, and I made Soulfinger. It was a hit. Number 3 on the charts. That summer, we became the great Otis Redding's band. First gig, the famed Apollo. That fall, we toured. That winter found me in a morgue identifying the bodies of my bandmates and Otis Redding. My music and their memories bring me joy. The Barcades, forever.
What would you call a joy that is as solemn as it is sweet and knows no bounds? A joy that's beautifully rooted in soul and resilience. This is Black Joy, a joy that reflects pride and honor, despite every challenge. AARP believes the power of Black joy is limitless, and we celebrate this joy supreme. Join us in celebrating Black joy at aarp.org/Black community.
To my hometown, my community. Some of you have known me my whole life. Do you notice anything different about the kids in the neighborhood? Ever paid attention? We might start with gifts, money, attention. These are signs. Child trafficking is happening right here in this town. So don't just watch through the window. Pay attention. Because the more we know, the more we'll all know to say no. Learn the signs to look for and how to help at no-to-say-no.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Toxic. Hey, look, toxic. Hey, toxic. Hey, toxic. Hey, for real though. Your charm is so intoxicating. Not debating, had me tipsy when the shot was taken. Took the hook, thought it was real till you swapped the bait and I awakened to the skill of your operation. Crafty, you're an artist with manipulation. Draft me into your army, but I'm not for shaping. Thought I was putty in your hands till you got forsaken. Who you working for if it's not for Satan? Ungodly the way you will the population. Laughing like an evil genius at your sly creations. Taught me a lot as I watched the demonstration. Walked away like Lot from your indoctrinations. Antics, attacks on phony friendships. Games you play for the props you get. Like wanting me to
Ladies and gentlemen, that's my brother Gnu. The name of that record is Toxic. My playlist is my co-host. The voice of reason is on fire. I got a real life co-host in the building, and she's cooking with rarefied grease. Of course, is Dr. Shalonda Crawford, a.k.a. Dr. Sunshine. She's one of KBLA's own, and we in here talking about attachment styles.
Yeah, we're talking about it with rarefied grease.
Rarefied
I gotta
grease.
use that.
I'm telling you.
Rarefied. I'm using it.
Yeah. So we got people on the line that want to talk that have been
go.
hanging on for a minute. Let's get them in order. Who's been on the longest? Nazarene X, Atlanta, Georgia. Get in here. What's your attachment style?
What up, though? Man, look, I just took this test. I just took it just now. I've taken it in the past. And I'm still skeptical because my results, like mind you, I didn't pay for the full report, but it said that my attachment style is secure.
Okay.
And I feel like inside I've been kind of ridiculed by partners that, or say potential partners that might want to get with me, or like, I think my security to an extent, it might be a tad bit unhealthy or undesired. To say like that. So it makes me think about, I want to be mindful of how my upbringing, my experiences and all have like really shaped me. Because if anything, I would like to be secure, but I want to also remain flexible, like not think too highly of myself in that regard. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. So my first question, these type of assessment tests, I love them, but they're as accurate as you're able to be about yourself when you're answering questions about yourself.
So you can get a false positive.
You can get a false positive because you're telling me that the result said secure, but inside you're feeling all these different things. So I wonder if when you answered the question, you answered in the way you would like to be.
She said you lied, boy.
No,
now, I'm
I'm wondering if
I lied.
No, I'm wondering if the answers were reflective or realistic. Because the results and what you're describing are two different. You're describing avoidant, actually.
That's okay, perfect. And that's what I love that because again, even what you're asking, that are they reflective and realistic? I say both because to that extent, I feel predisposed to quote unquote be okay with quote unquote turning opportunities down. Because inside, in terms of relationships, like I feel like it's one thing to answer these questions when you're not in a relationship, and it's another like to be actively engaged and have a new assessment. Because I haven't been in the trenches like that in some time, but I'm also aware of how they say it's like the quote unquote Alice in Wonderland type test anyway.
So you feel like your answers change based on your relationship status? So
I believe it does have some merit, right? Because it's like almost, mind you, I know how I feel up front, but I'm open to say like, hey, it's until I get with this partner, like I imagine like I'm being real, but I believe in the possibility that my feelings on my responses might sway a little bit. They're still going to be anchored to the truth of me.
So, but you're answering the questions based on the true core of you. So your answers should not change with your relationship status.
They shouldn't.
They should not change with your relationship. And if they're if they are kind of vacillating between single in a relationship, yeah, I'm gonna say that some of what you're answering is reflective. And it's your version of reflection.
Questions.
Yeah. Can you remember what one of the questions were?
Now, Nazarene,
like
Nazarene, hold on.
Yes, sir. Okay, my bad. Okay, let me get it.
Nazarene, you're on the radio now. Now, when you're on the radio, you can't be talking like we at the coffee shop. And you know what that? Wait, no,
bad.
Hold on. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
That means when the doctor is talking, listen.
The coffee shop.
You like to get your last word out. You be like, and then I'm gonna tell you something else. No. You hear her talking, you be quiet. You hear what she said, then you respond.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Dr. Sunshine.
But
one of the questions.
One of the questions.
One of the questions was like when you're in a relationship, if you out with your partner or if you're away from your partner, do you feel like you need to call in and check on them or update them about everything you're doing?
So my question to you is, when you're in a relationship, do you feel like you need to check in with your partner? Now, my question is, why does it change if you're not in a relationship right now? That's a question you can answer inside and outside of a relationship.
Understood.
Do you understand?
I don't want to right.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah. So I'll say this.
You don't want to answer that question.
No, I can't. I'm just.
It was more rhetorical. It was more rhetorical to highlight the point.
So this is what you do, Nazarene X. What I want you to do is take that question into your prayer closet.
Amen.
Get on your knees. Get on your knees. And pray for some clarity. You brought Atlanta, Georgia in the building. Listen. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. We breaking down people's attachment styles. And the doc is exposing them.
Yeah.
I know they trying to hide, but you can't hide. So let me get the person who's been in here the longest. Uriah. We back in Atlanta, Georgia. Uriah. Am I? Uriah?
Yes.
Gotcha. Hey, brother. Talk to us, man. What are your thoughts about tonight's topic? You got questions, right?
Oh, yeah. First, I just want to thank you guys for even having this discussion. And I'm a faithful listener to the Dr. Sunshine Show every Sunday. I love that show. And I thank Dr. Sunshine for just stepping in here and, bringing these topics to light. Now, let me get to my point. So my attachment, I found myself incarcerated at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And upon my release from incarceration, fear was a big attachment to my life. Fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of harm coming my way and not being able to defend myself for legal reasons, fear of having to overachieve because of what my past looked like. I had to be the exception. Some things have improved. Some things still are there. And so I want to know how, when you're gripped with fear from your past mistakes, and how do you begin to reverse that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think before we get to the answer to your question, I think it's really important that we highlight this, though. Even with having the most secure attachment style, you still have to deal with the realities of life. Mm-hmm. And so there are things that can happen that cause us to have a natural, normal response to life. Mm-hmm. So if you did some jail time, I can't remember if you said jail or prison, but if you did jail or prison time, it's normal, and it's on the normal spectrum to come out with some fear about navigating the world as it is now, and in comparison to the world you came from. And when we fold in whatever your experiences were with what your expectation is going to be, and so the longer you're in one environment, the more anxiety a new environment can bring up.
Right.
So I want to first begin by saying a lot of the fear that you described comes from being moved from one environment to the other environment. And there's some stuff to unpack there. So for that, I would say not this particular opportunity on the radio, but I think you should talk that out with a professional, that part.
You should call Dr. Sunshine.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Hey, Uraya, we appreciate the call. You brought Atlanta back in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, you know the routine. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. You're listening to the VOR. Of course, I'm on fire tonight, and so is Dr. Shalonda Crawford. When we come forward, more callers, more attachment styles.
Reactions to instill a lesson. I will not be treated like an adolescent. Swallowing emotions like I owe you something. Communication is processing the information. Learn to listen to end up missing out on your blessings. Yeah, keep stunting like class ain't in session. Dismissing feelings, find mind ditching. Go ahead.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Actors are planning for a major rally in the epicenter of New York City tomorrow. Those on strike will take to Times Square for a rally dubbed Rock the City for a Fair Contract. Actors have been on strike since July 14th, joining writers who have been on the picket line since May. Georgia officials are warning the public over a financial scam called pig butchering. The criminals target cryptocurrency investors. The name comes from the fact that the con artists fatten up the victims by feeding them a steady stream of exaggerated information. In Detroit, Michigan, an air quality alert is in place for Tuesday as wildfire smoke from Canada is expected to drift over the southeastern portion of Michigan again. Officials recommend seniors and children stay inside if possible to avoid unhealthy air. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need
need an accident attorney by your side, all you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The Accident Guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Need a fresh start? LADWP income qualified customers can get up to $15,000 tax-free to pay overdue water utility bills with the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. Benefit amounts may vary and will not impact other benefits. Visit ladwp.com/cares and apply today. That's ladwp.com/cares.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima from the show First Things First, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. Join us Tuesday with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. It's Mornings with the Mayor every month, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried New Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
In our community, mental health struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. The suicide rate among Black youth has risen faster than any other ethnic group. Only 1 in 3 African Americans who need mental health care receives it. African American women are only half as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to seek professional mental health services. Even those who guide us spiritually can sometimes face their own challenges. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent they need to take a leave of absence from ministry. As people of faith, it's time to acknowledge it's okay not to be okay. You can pray and get help. Visit normalizehelp.org for more information and resources. Join us in raising mental health awareness in our community. Funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and the Champion Counseling Center of Faithful Central Bible Church.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
What I do, I'd make it all okay, and peace for me and you. I know you've got troubles, but out of that you learn. It's the things you want most are the things you gotta earn. Tell the truth, running away, leaving a bad situation, running away.
So, let's talk about the anxious and dismissive dynamic in the relationship. And I'm just, rather than, I have previous videos about like how the dynamic seems to work, but rather than going through like what the dynamic is and what it looks like, you can go to a previous video for that. This is really going to be all about how to transform the challenges in this, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 really important high-level tools to work through this dynamic, okay? So one of the first things that we're going to see is that the anxious, preoccupied, and dismissive avoidant seem to have completely polarized needs from one another. The dismissive avoidant seems to always want space, and the anxious, preoccupied always seems to want more time together or less space, right? Now, something that's really valuable to look at is if we look at things at a surface level, then, you know, space and time seem very conflicting. But if we ask ourselves why we need these things and we look for the underlying needs we're actually trying to extract through space and time, because if you look at space and time themselves, they're quite neutral. Time could be, like if you had to spend all of your time in your life mowing lawns every single day, all day, you probably wouldn't be like so valuing your time. But if you get to spend every single, you know, amount of time that you have showing up, doing things that you love, doing things that make you feel fulfilled, rewarded, growing, expanding, connecting, all these different things that make you feel fulfilled, you're going to really value that time. So time itself is neutral. It's what we're using our time for that really makes a big difference. Same thing with space. If you're taking space, you know, right now a lot of people are in, you know, they're getting lots of space. There's lots of isolation going on. And like space feels bad for a lot of people, but it's what we're using space for. So at a surface level, we look at the anxious, preoccupied, and dismissive avoidant and we're like, oh, you know, they're in complete contradiction with each other, but this isn't actually the case. What the case really is that if you ask why we need what we need, you're going to see that these things are not polarized at all. And at the end of the day, if you keep digging into any...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Voice of Reason back in the building. My playlist is my co-host, Running Away by Maze, featuring Frankie Beverly was one of the records. Many of us are with dismissive avoidance, fearful avoidance, anxious. What is it? Anxious, preoccupied.
Preoccupied, yeah.
Oh Lord, I would argue very few of us are with securely attached people.
Not totally.
I would argue the secure people are in the minority. I don't think they're just at a premium. I don't think they're everywhere. I think it's more crazy people. Can I call them crazy? I'm sorry.
No, you cannot.
It's too late already.
You gotta take it back.
I take it back. Y'all not crazy. Y'all just like me.
Yeah, you gotta humbly take it back. But I think there are a lot of mostly secure people.
You think secure people
there are a lot of them.
Outnumbered?
Nope. No.
La, la, la.
I did not say outnumbered.
Okay.
But I think there are a lot, not a little. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's
of
fine.
Securely attached people.
There's 9 billion people on the planet, so
okay,
I'm sure.
Okay, yeah. yeah.
The voice of reason in here with Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford. We cooking with grease. Are you in a hot and cold relationship? Oh, Lord.
The real push-pull. Dismissive, yes, but the fearful.
They're fearful, too.
Disorganized, avoidant. That's the hot and cold.
Ooh, 1-800-920-1580. I'm coming to the phone lines right now in Zynga, Pensacola, Florida. Get in here.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, good evening.
Hey. So what is it? Tell us in Zynga, what is your attachment style?
It's the one y'all been dogging all night.
We have not
dogging. We've been dogging y'all.
Fearful avoidance.
Fearful avoidance.
So tell us why you feel like you're in that category. Let's first make sure that you're in the right category.
Well, because my track, I think that within the last few years, this is like the first time I've gotten friends or I'm around people who hold space. Normally, I prefer to be around people who maybe are a little more self-centered. So I didn't really have to share or, I could just kind of go below the radar. I didn't have to worry about getting too close to my feelings and stuff like that.
So far, you're describing avoidant, but not the fearful part so far.
I would say also when people do get a little close, I guess you can say I've ghosted people and things like that because I really didn't like that. But now I think I'm working on changing. That's why when Mr. Zoe was like, you can kind of change your attachment style. I kind of resonated with that because I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be more not only giving but receiving as well.
So do you find
have a hard time
in relationships? Do you find yourself this is a moment to try to be as honest and in your reflection as possible? Do you find yourself very critical of the people that you're with in relationships? Critical of them, and not only critical of them, but you're quick to tell them too. So you will tell them where to get off and what you think. And the comments can be just hurtful in the moment. You can be like a scorpion with it.
Well, in the past, I would say yes. I was not really. Is tolerant a good word to use?
Tolerant, I can work with tolerant.
Tolerant is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You didn't have a high tolerance, but this sounds avoidant.
Yeah.
What you're saying still sounds avoidant. So with the fearful avoidant person, there's like you're running through stop signs to get to the mile markers in a relationship. I want to let's talk about being engaged. Let's go get the ring. Let's set a date for the wedding. How many kids do we want?
Very fast.
You're gone.
Yes.
And then when it's reciprocated, that feels overwhelming And it's like, wait a minute, I don't like you like that. As a matter of fact, and sometimes subconsciously you'll say something to sabotage all of this love. Matter of fact, you're dumb. And don't nobody want you with your little blah, blah, blah self. Like, and then first there's a push to get to the altar. And then when you're on your way there and the person is open to that, then there's a pull away from them. And you'll take it, all the way down. And then when you come down from that, there's a feeling of remorse and regret. And it's like, dang, what did I do? And so there's another push.
So, Nzinga, I'm sorry we got to push forward. Hey,
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Hopefully she peeled a few layers back. When we come forward, I want to bring your city in the building. Of course, I'm going to talk to my homeboy Truemonger from Dallas, Texas. He's up next. We got a lot to talk about still.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Watering Your Lawn During the Hottest Time of the Day and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take. And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan. Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Voice of Reason with that Roy Ayers. You already know my playlist is my co-host. Hey, Roy Ayers had a record called Running Away too. A lot of people are doing a lot of running away. but we gonna cover it tonight. The voice of reason back in the building. Let me get this done real quick. Shalonda had something to say. She's got to get it off her chest right now.
I just want to say, for anyone who feels like they may be in that fearful avoidant category, the real determining factor, the main thing that you need to consider is whether or not your childhood had abuse and trauma in it, neglect, abandonment. Usually those are the people that fall in that category. The push-pull comes from really needing love and attention, and then also defending from abuse and neglect all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Man, that's heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got callers. Let's get them in here. True Monger, Dallas, Texas. It's your time to shine. Holla at me.
Yes, sir. Man, this is hot and cold. I think I'm more lukewarm. I think I have more of a lukewarm attachment because I've experienced different variations of it. There's been periods where I've been the more balanced, nonchalant type of guy where I attract the anxious and I'm more the calm side of it. And they would take that as if I didn't care. I just express it differently. And more often than not, I'm in control of my emotions instead of the other way around. So when things looked like it was chaotic, I was kind of calm and kind of figure out how to deal with things and not let my emotions take over things.
That sounds like classic avoidant. Yeah, you're in control. The minute things get.
What am I avoiding?
You're avoiding the emotion. You're avoiding the overwhelm of the situation, and to your description, the minute things seem like you move into calm mode, you find ways to calm yourself, and that is to put a boundary around that. Avoidant people have wonderful boundaries. Right. So I just want to say that all of these attachment styles have pros and cons. So the pro, I don't want to have this conversation as if being in any category is inherently terrible.
No.
That you have great boundaries. So because of this avoidant style, you know when it's time to put a boundary on a person or a situation. That's a wonderful thing. It only leans over into the other side when you can't engage intimately and express intimately in relationship. So if I want to lean into you with my issue, that may become a little overwhelming, and instead of communicating that, you'll put up a wall. And you'll force me to back up. You're, as the anxious person, is going to run to the milestones. You're going to take your time and peep this out, and you're going to back up, and then you're going to take a look and say, okay, maybe I can give it another chance. You know, you're going to, that can be a pro or a con.
True Monger, you brought Dallas, Texas in the building, brother. We got to keep it pushing. You know we up against the clock, man.
Up against the clock.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Hey, we got Atala from Houston, Texas. She's our final caller. We got to keep this one brief.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Hey, how are you?
Hey.
What's going on, Dr. Sunshine? So I think I'm fearful avoidant, just based on how I functioned in my last few relationships. I can see both sides of it, the anxious side, but then also the avoidant side as well. I think the weirdest situation I had was when I saw an avoidant action in my partner because I was functioning anxiously, and I'm like, I know exactly what you're doing. It was weird, but yeah.
So, you know, my big question is, I don't even need you to necessarily answer it on air. I just want you to think about whether or not there is some kind of very traumatic experience that you had, either as an adult or as a child, or abuse as a child. You don't need to answer it on air. But that's the clinch pin. Rejection, abandonment. It could be physical, emotional abuse. Those are the things that you want to look at as the base. Otherwise, what you just described sounds like sometimes you're avoidant, sometimes you're anxious, and secure people do that.
Right. Let me just say this, Attila. You brave girl.
Yes.
Calling in here asking people these intimate questions.
Yes.
You brave.
And to say I may be fearful, avoidant.
And fearful's a heavy one to claim.
Yeah.
That's like slithering.
No, I definitely think I'm both. Like, I've had some serious realizations in the past few days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. Yeah, I'm both.
Well, we appreciate you for calling in. You brought Houston, Texas in the building. Thank you. Listen, dismissive avoidance usually create emotional distance, right? They usually have a fear of intimacy. They usually love independence and self-reliance because they spend most of their time self-soothing when they're in a difficult emotional space, right? They have difficulty with vulnerability. They will dismiss and minimize emotions. Avoidance of conflict. Preference for solitude. Difficulty with emotional support. I'm trying to support you. Sometimes I feel smothered by your emotional support. Fear of commitment. You start saying, let's take it to the next level. They start getting hot flashes. They have a distrust of others. It is important to note that these signs are not the definitive, and that these individuals may exhibit varying degrees of dismissive avoidant traits. Additionally, attachment styles can be fluid and influenced by various factors, including personal growth and therapy. In other words, you can rewrite your story. Just because it's all you know doesn't mean it's the conduit for how you grow. DZ, it might be the blueprint to say, this is what you gotta change. So how do I see the blueprint in my relationships? Well, how come you gotta look for it though? You gotta look for, how do I show up? Who am I under these circumstances? And why is this my default go-to? Self-awareness. You heard Dr. Alan Berger talk about consciousness. You got to become self-conscious, aware of who you are if you want to change it. Listen, we started the conversation. It's your job to finish it. I want to thank Dr. Shalonda Crawford for coming in here, slapping us upside the head. When we come forward, you already know, RSVP with Jill Monroe. I'll see you tomorrow with another slapper.